Hello again everyone, Mary Rose here at Stitch Bliss Corner on May the 5th, 2024. And we've got some rain today. It's been a bit rainy for most of the last week or so. I like the rain because I think it brings the colour up in everything. And it hasn't been too inconvenient because Harlequin and I, we're not trendsetters when it comes to getting out there and doing things. We're pretty much homebodies anyway. So, and we've got a tin roof, so it's very nice to hear the rain on the roof, and it gives you comfort, I think. And I hope the weather wherever you are is good for you, and that your day is going well. Now, this is a special video for my grand nieces and nephews because it's some stitching that I've done especially for them, and so I thought that I would present that to you now, because that's where I've been for the last month or so, is stitching these pieces for them. Now they're dimensions petites, and I'll probably, what I'll do is I'll go to the video of the stitching to begin with, and then when you come back to me I'll go over some of the methods I used and etc, things that I did, because I don't really stick fully to any kit anyway, or any chart. I always change it a little bit because I must be a bit contrary. Anyway, what I'm going to do is just show you what I stitched first before I go over to the videos, because I did some stages of stitching, just so that you can see, because I think it's always nice to see something started and then right the way through to the finish, because it can be a bit frustrating, I think, sometimes with Flosstube when someone's stitching something and they've got this huge rotation of pieces, and you don't see it again for another 2 years. And whereas there's nothing wrong with that when you're someone like me that likes to see things go a bit quicker. That's just not the way I do things. I try to give you a start and a finish as much as possible, just so that you can have a bit of satisfaction that you've seen something go all the way through. Yeah, anyway. Oh, I'm wearing my Kerry bracelet today. Kerry, Kitty Stitcher. She sent this to me with some of her beautiful stitching, which, I absolutely treasure. This is on a sparkly fabric, and she knows I love butterflies. So, and we exchanged stitched pieces. And bless her heart. And I know it's her birthday this month, so happy birthday, Kerry, and I hope things go well for you this year. I know you've got a big operation coming up, and Harlequin and I are always thinking of you, and you're just such a courageous person, and that we love you dearly. So all the best to you, Kerry, and yes, this is always in my sight. So anyway, to carry on, these are the pieces that I chose for my grandnieces. This piece, which is by Punch Studio. They don't actually say the name of the designer. It's on 18 count black Ada, and the size is 6 inches by 6 inches, or 15 centimetres by 15 centimetres. And the date begun was March 14, and the date completed was April 8. So what I did, I have two grandnieces and two grandnephews. So I did the same stitching. So two of each, for each of each, if you get what I mean. Well, you'll see in the video anyway. So that's what I chose for the girls. And for the boys, I chose this piece. Designed Shane Dimmick. He designed it. 18 count Ada, size 5 inches by 7 inches, 12.7 centimetres by 17.7 centimetres. Date begun February 17, date completed March 10. Now I decided on not putting the snow in because I thought it was distracting. So that's what I did. Now I shall go to the video now so that you can have a look at all the bits and pieces put together there, which Harlequin's probably put in a good sequence for me because, you know, I am a bit erratic with what I do, you know. So he's very good at pulling it together to have some kind of form and moving. So I'll see you when you get back to me. Just a quick video to show the completed wolves here. Now I've just decided to show you what they look like before the couching, and what I'll do is I'll take one of the pieces and couch it, and then I'll put the other one next to it so you can see what it looks like, or what he looks like, with couching and without it. So that'll be the next little video. Here we have the two wolves I've been working on side by side, and this one is the one that's had the couching done and the outlining, and this one is yet to be done. And I think it's clear that this one, you can see the distance of the wolf to the branches in front of him because of the outlining. Now, dimensions suggested that the white thread on the branches, just use a single thread, but I have in places used more than a single thread, 2 or 3, just to give a little bit of thickness there, like there for example, and here. So you put your own stamp on what you're doing, and you can see with this wolf that's yet to be worked on, you can see the perspective. It's just really quite flat, and the eyes. There's a difference between the eyes that have been outlined and the eyes that have yet to be done. So I just thought you might be interested to see the difference it makes when you've done your highlighting. That yes, it can be a trial, definitely, and in this particular case, it is quite difficult to follow some areas. For example, over here, you're going to have branches there and there, and you have to be so careful of exactly where you're putting your lines so that they do look like branches. It's just one of those things with needlework. You just have to use your own judgment as well as following the pattern that they've provided for you. And this one that think I've finished, but I'm going to have to check carefully with the final picture provided to make sure that I haven't missed anything. I mean, here, for example, it looks a little bit thin. It just doesn't look like a full branch. So I'm going to have to, that's a single white thread there, and I'm going to have to double that up just to make it look a bit thicker, like the snow is on it. And also, this design does have snow, French knots suggesting snow, and I'm not putting those on, simply because I think they'd be a bit distracting. Not because I don't mind, I absolutely don't mind doing French knots, but I just think it would look much better as it is than with the French knots representing snow. All right, I'll get back to you later. Well, here are the completed pieces for my great nieces and nephews. The butterflies are for the girls and the wolves for the boys. So now I'll be washing them tomorrow, and once they've been washed they'll be going off to the framer. So I just thought I would record those as they've been completed, and I'll get back to you shortly. Right, so that's what I've been up to. Now, I will show you now the framed pieces, face to camera, because you've already seen the framed, but I thought I'd just hold them up for you. And then I thought I'd just have a bit of a talk to you about the method I used and a few little hints here and there. So here's the wolf. Now, as you can see, he's got the whiskers. I was thinking of not putting them in, but Harlequin told me that they looked as though they'd both been to a barber and they'd been clean shaven. So I thought, well, he's right. I mean, nature does have whiskers on them, and who am I to interfere with nature? So they did get their whiskers, but I still didn't put the snow in. So that's the wolf, and of course there are two of them. So very happy with how they turned out. And this frame here, it sort of looks a bit brown there, but actually it's a grey colour, and it really does complement the piece very nicely. The framer and Harlequin had most to do with the selection of mats and the frame, because I was more for a sort of brown frame, but they were happy with the grey, and when I saw it I agreed with them. It's just that ironically that does look a bit brown there, but it is a nice grey. That's like not a silvery grey, but you know, just nice anyway. So that's that one. So I'll pop down here, and then I'll show you the butterfly. There's the butterfly there. And so it's got a little bit of dust that's been sitting there. Well, not dust, but you know how there's particles in the air. And yeah, so here the stitching, it's a bit hard to show you the stitching well because the lights. I think it's the black Ada and probably the colours as well make it look a little bit well, not as sharp as it could be, I think. But nonetheless, it does have quite a 3D effect, doesn't it? And of course that's for the girls. So I'm very happy that they've been completed, and by the time you see this video they will have all received their stitching. So I'll just pop that there. So now to talk about the stitching. Yes, I made a note about the whiskers. I've just put you know, that I thought that they were a bit distracting. But in any case, it worked out really well. I'm glad I did couch them in because, well, they wouldn't have looked right without them. So, you know, move on from that. And you can make up your own mind about the snow, whether I should have put the snow in or not. I think this is a bigger picture of the dimensions, and you can see all the snow there. Just, you know, and I don't know. I think there's enough going on without putting snow in it as well. But maybe, you know, you've got to respect the artist that that person felt that it looked more, maybe they were just envisioning the wolf looking around and, you know, with the snow and everything, and it was all part of the atmosphere of the piece. So, you know, that's very nice anyway. Nice with snow and nice without snow. Now, what have I got here? So I wrote a few notes down. Now, a lot of people are a bit daunted when it comes to stitching dimensions, because when you first look at the chart, when you open your kit, it is a bit daunting because of the way they do their charts. They're not really user-friendly, but you can make them user-friendly. And I did put a video out about handy hints for dimensions, and that was video number 114, dimensions hints on what I felt helped me to stitch them, because petites, someone did describe them as deceptively difficult. You know, they look easy, but they're not easy, not by any means. So, I mean, it depends on, of course, the design that you've chosen to stitch, but it doesn't do any harm to make it as easy as possible for yourself, does it? Because, you know, most stitchers, you know, they like to get their stitching done as efficiently and easily and as enjoyable as possible. Well, that's what I like to do anyway. And there's always something waiting to be stitched that you know, get itchy fingers that you want to get to. But anyway, so what have I got here? Prepare the chart. Now, when I get a dimensions kit, naturally you get everything out, and I do. In my hint video, I show how I prepare my threads and everything. So if you want to see all that, you know, have a look at that one. So I prepare my threads, and I always edge my fabric, because the fabric that you get is not a huge piece anyway, so you do need every bit. And sometimes I do just replace the 18 count that they give you with my own, so I've got a bigger area, you know, because then you can get your hoop on more easily if you use a hoop like I do. But, you know, you can use what they supply, because it's certainly sufficient, but it's not over amount, you know, of edge for you to have your hoop on and everything. Then I always, naturally enough, I always grid my fabric, and I always vary my number of threads, because I rarely stitch in the configuration that they suggest. I mean, sometimes they say, you know, use 4 threads, 5 threads, 3 threads, and you kind of, it depends on the effect that you want to have. If you, for example, with the butterfly, I want to show you this here, in the background there are about 4 threads thicknesses, and I just used, it was tent stitch, and I just used 2 threads because I wanted the background to be further back. This I did do the full crosses, and you know, it popped out, and then the butterfly popped out even more with the way it was stitched, well, the way I stitched it. But the white there, I did try a single thread to make it look a little bit more delicate, but the white just didn't stand out enough, so I had to use 2 threads. And the antenna there, I just made that straight, because butterflies, there may be an exception to the rule, but butterflies usually just have like a single thread, a single antenna. They don't have the little bobble on the end like that. That's usually moths have that. So I just wanted my butterflies to have the the straight antenna. I'm not a botanist by any means, but for some reason it just bugged me that it had that little bobble on the end. Although, whatever. It's your own personal choice, isn't it? Now, I just thought I would just give you a bit of an idea of what you're confronted with when you have a look at your dimensions chart. Again, I do have more about that in the video about dimensions kits hints. But I'm just showing a portion of the chart here, just to get my point across. So that's a portion of the chart that you're looking at when you open your dimensions kit. And as you can see, it can be quite confronting. So what I do is I get my ruler out and my pen, and I immediately mark the grids out. And straight away, as soon as you do that, you can see that it becomes a lot more approachable than that. Well, it did for me anyway, because you've got a better idea of, what your task before you is. So that's just an example of what I do. Now, was there... I'm just looking to see if there's anything that I've missed, because there's only so much you can say about a piece. Yeah, I think that's probably all that I had to say about these pieces. As I say, I just wanted to do this video before it gets sent off. I'm just trying to see if I wrote a few notes down. I'm just trying to make sure I don't forget anything. But that's probably a little bit too much to ask for. Yeah, I think that's probably it. Now, I'm not doing Mania this year, but I am doing a May work for Harlequin. I did share that on the last video that I was doing a cat for him, and it's coming along very nicely. It's an absolute delight of a piece, and I don't think it'll take too much longer to finish him. And when I do, I shall come back and show him to you in all the stages of his progress. And it's funny because it's not a piece that I would have just looked at and thought, oh, I must stitch that. But it really is a magnificent piece. So I'll be very happy to share that with you next time I see you. So until then, all the best to you all. It's always nice to catch up with everybody. Thank you very much for your comments and for watching and for sharing some of your experiences with your stitching and everything. It's always nice to see what you're all doing. And I'll catch you next time on Stitch Bliss Corner. So goodbye for now.